Welcome welcome all to the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, and maybe even poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course, hearing about how fantastic linked SAS Toyotas are, then this is the podcast for you. That's right, ladies and gentleladies. My name is Tyler Larson, spelled with a U. It's kind of like Laursen. And welcome to the show, episode 318. Almost all with my good buddy here, Mr. Jimmy Jett, live in the studio. It's exciting, man.
I know. 2 days in a row.
I know.
It's impressive.
We're like in a roll now.
I know. Right? Who knows what's going to happen next week?
No, nobody knows. Oh, man. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Life's good. Yeah, everybody's getting better quickly. So things are going on the positive. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Not a positive on the test, just positive in life.
Gotcha. Never mind.
We're now negative on the test.
Yay! Celebrating. Can I just give a quick shout out?
Sure.
To Cilantros.
Yes.
Because they make amazing nachos.
Yes, they do.
I'm pretty sure I've had nachos since you haven't been in the studio, but I don't remember when the last time it was. So it was fantastic getting nachos again.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you for being back.
Yeah. That's our normal local. We typically record a podcast and then we go to get lunch and usually go to this Mexican restaurant around the corner, and then come back and record another podcast. So,
Yep.
So we just ate lunch. So now we're all fat and happy.
Nap time. So you want to do this one? I'm going to go take a nap.
Cuddle couch.
Cuddle couch. Oh, man. Let's see. So Monday episode is what we got going on.
Yes, it is.
I think we've got a fun topic today.
I think so too. It was a bit obscure. It was a listener question that we're going to expand on. So yeah, I think it'll be fun. Cool.
This also, since it's Monday, we do have the first day of August.
August. Okay, what does that mean?
It means that we're behind on getting a giveaway set up for August.
Got it. Yes.
Now, we have something kind of lined up, but we're hoping to get something else instead, and we're just working on final details for it. So we'll let you guys know as soon as we know that.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So that's going on this month. We'll be announcing the winner of the Spartan Rope probably Thursday, do you think? No, that'll be too soon.
That'll be too soon.
Probably going to be next Thursday.
Yeah.
If everybody would just hurry up and ditch Patreon, then we could actually do the giveaways like earlier.
Yep. A week earlier. But as long as people continue to stay on Patreon, then we have to keep rolling with that, which means we don't hear the numbers or anything from Patreon until like the 6th of the month sometimes. So next week. Yep.
Next week for the winner of the Spartan Rope and the soft shackles.
1 shackle, right?
I thought it was 2. Is it 1?
Yeah, because the other one I took.
Oh. Perfect. Okay.
Just like the stubbies.
Gotcha. I did have somebody reach out and say, hey, are you guys actually shipping those like without the stubbies in them, or do I need to get some? I was like, no, I think they're coming with stubbies. You guys are lucky. I've been keeping Jimmy away from them.
I know.
I had to put up a shock collar fence around the tools. And then that's why every time you've had to come in the warehouse, you've been wearing that little shock anklet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Yes.
Oh, so I'm allowed to go outside?
You are allowed to go outside. Oh. I wouldn't recommend going near any schools, though.
Got it. I'll get shocked there, too.
Yeah, stay away from schools. That's
okay.
That one you may get shocked by, like, somebody showing up in a wee-woo car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a big gun.
Yeah.
That shocks me.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
I was just out of school the other day, too.
What? Did that go? You weren't wearing it then?
No, I guess not. I took it off.
How did you... So you wear it over here? You just take it off when you go to the schools?
It's now a fashion accessory.
Gotcha. Okay. Like dog tags?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, man. Speaking of accessories and
I don't want to say hyped accessories, but did you know that there are soju seltzers?
No.
It's like an Asian White Claw. They're
I don't know
amazing.
how that's an accessory. But
I don't either, but it's kind of like a fad, a trend. That's what I was looking for.
Oh, okay.
So a trend that I haven't really found really trendy yet. I just found them and I wanted to talk about them.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
So
that would be interesting.
Soju seltzers.
Lee, go get some.
I already sent him pictures.
Oh. So did he get it?
I don't know.
Oh.
He hasn't
Did
said
you?
that yet. Yes.
How are they?
They're great.
Oh.
They use actual fruit juice. Like
cool.
I had a pineapple soju seltzer, and in the bottom was a bunch of pineapple pulp. Like they used actual juice.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty damn good. So
yeah, we had I forgot which one it was, but it wasn't very good.
of a soju.
No, it wasn't soju's. It was just another seltzer, a brewery made a seltzer brand.
Gotcha.
And I don't want to say any brewery because I don't want to tartan somebody's, name if I get it wrong. But yeah, I forgot who it was. But it was a big name brewery, and they have like a cherry lime and a pineapple and some other one, and none of them were very good.
Oh, really?
No.
Were they all just too? Did they have that like the seltzer flavor of like soda water or?
Yeah, kind of. They had that, but they didn't. The flavor wasn't there.
Of the fruit, the flavor of the drink, yeah.
It wasn't the flavorful style. It was way more seltzery, more watery than it was a flavor.
Gotcha. I wonder if we could make our own seltzers from the Rubicon Springs.
Maybe.
Rubicon seltzers?
Yeah.
I wonder if Rubicon Soda Springs would be okay with that.
I don't know.
The company that manages the springs.
We'll have to ask.
We'll have to ask them. Have you guys thought about... has a little irony flavor to it.
Yeah, it would be called, like drive shaft.
We can make a PB
seltzer.
Blaster seltzer finally.
Yay. Yeah, we could do PB Blaster
Gear
seltzer.
Oil.
Gear oil seltzer. Just don't drink the top layer.
Yeah. Scoop that off.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh man, can you imagine
that almost
if somebody actually did those?
So my capstone, my thesis project for college was an anti-marketing advertising thing. Okay. And I made these weird flavored waters. One was like mud, one was sand water, one was like I don't know, it was like oiled water or stuff like that. And this is like right on par with that.
Yeah.
And I did all the label. I like made new bottles, or I took the labels off of bottles and put new labels on and did all these funky advertising stuff. And it sounds like right up my alley.
Yeah. Make our own snail trail automotive seltzers.
Yep.
I'm down. Let's figure out how to do it.
All right. Okay. WD-40.
WD-40, PB Blaster, Gear Oil. What are some other ones?
Oh, I'm sure there's...
Brake Clean.
Rattle can.
Yeah. It actually has like a little ball in there that shakes around as you're drinking it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They all should.
Yeah.
That would be funny. Just don't drink the metal ball at the end of the...
Oh, man.
It'd have to be a larger one like the nitro style stuff so it wouldn't come out of the can.
There you go. Yeah.
Safer.
Yeah. Oh, man. Anyways, off-roading. We have a fun topic today, which we kind of alluded to earlier. Let's see. We have reviews as always. So if you guys wanted to leave us a review, we are past 400 reviews right now. We just did it last Monday.
Thursday.
That's what I meant. That's what I said. So we got that. So we're coming up now on 450. 450 is the next benchmark for some swag from different vendors that we've been collecting over the years. So we'll send a swag pack out once we reach 450. And then once we're at 500, what are we giving away?
Tyler's Soul.
That's we've been doing that since 200 or 150, something like that.
Okay. We're giving away a 9,500 pound winch.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
9,500 pound rough country winch for the giveaway once we reach 500 reviews.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys are getting in your reviews. Can people enter multiple times?
Absolutely, if you can figure out how.
Yes, sir. Just grab all your friends' iPhones and leave reviews, but then you have to remember their iTunes accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So
remember the names.
Yeah.
Because somebody's going to win, and we're going to have to confirm it one way or another.
I think the chances are good right now that somebody's going to win whose phone was stolen for the review.
Yeah. So I agree. I think somebody's going to win that never listens to the podcast.
Yeah.
And their buddy stole the phone, wrote a review to try to get another entry, which we're allowing in this competition.
Yeah.
Unlike the tag a friend and you and your friend win.
Yeah. Right.
Competitions. But yeah, so if you're writing multiple reviews, know their iTunes accounts names.
Yes, exactly. And I bet you it's probably like the same 20 people leaving all 500 reviews.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as we get 500 reviews.
That's it. That's how we bribe people here at Snail Trail 4x4.
Absolutely.
Oh man. So cool. We got that going on.
Speaking of other sort of giveaways, there are a bunch of tokens that are live for the public and for the Snail Squad people.
Yeah.
There are some that are in both sections and some that are hidden under that Snail Squad. And for that, we are giving away a Master Mechanics tool set. It's something like 600 piece tool set from WINCH.
Yep.
So if you collect 13 tokens that spell out Snail Trail 4x4, because every token has a different letter on it. And then you show us all 13, you can win this Master Mechanics tool set from WINCH.
About $2,000.
Yeah.
Retail value.
Is
maybe
it?
More. Yeah.
Holy cow.
It's above 2,000. Yeah.
Wow.
So $2,000 Master Mechanics tool set on the line for whoever spells out Snail Trail 4x4 first. And right now, I think Trevor is at like Snail Trail 4. No, he's not that far. But.
Yeah. He has probably 8.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say.
But I don't know if any of them are duplicates.
That's true.
But and you would need a lot of duplicates actually. Because TRAIL, SNAIL, right? So AIL and 4 all need to be doubled.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So you need some duplicates. I wonder if there's going to become like a black market for these two.
I don't know.
Like once we start really pumping them out.
If he has 3 L's.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't need another one, but I need an
S.
I need an X. Yeah. I know that I still have in my possession the number 4, that's the 13th one. So
from the first 13.
From our very first 13, I still have the 13th one, which is a 4.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if and when I'm gonna hide that one. I think it's kind of cool that I have it still.
Yeah.
So
make somebody buy it off you, put it up on eBay. Watch it sell for $5.
Yeah. You're good. Maybe we can figure out some deal where we split the master toolkit and I'll just make you a set.
Oh,
on the laser.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go that route. Oh man. Now, so we got that going as always. So definitely, we keep saying we're looking at increasing production on the pucks, but I think now that we have kind of all the tools ourselves to do them, we can really start kind of focusing on that and pumping it out ourselves. So watch for those to increase here relatively shortly. What else is there? Is there for a Monday?
I think that's it. I think that's good. I think we should jump into the main topic.
Cool. Yeah, next week with FNG's birthdays, the July giveaway. We'll see if it should be able to get done. I know that next week's going to be super busy for us. We're like out wheeling for 10 days straight, something like that.
Yeah.
Camping, wheeling, combination of both.
Well, but I think it starts on Tuesday for me, so I don't know. Or on Wednesday for me. So
Wednesday, this Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. Well, this Wednesday. So
and then we go through next week.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe, but normally we sit down and record on Tuesdays, so maybe that's still on the table.
Maybe. All right. So anyways, we'll see how we do this here. Another busy first half of the month, but we have some fun interviews lined up for the second half of the month for you guys.
Yes, we do.
Keep your ear holes open or get ready for those interviews. So, all right, you ready to get into our main topic, sir? Our campfire discussion?
Yes. Let's do it.
All right, go ahead. Everybody grab your favorite nachos, whether it's carne asada, chicken, carnitas. or tofu if you're that kind of person. We won't judge you. Too bad. And we'll be right on back with today's campfire discussion. Welcome back, ladies and gentle ladies, to today's campfire discussion. We have a question, a very important and I think a debatable question came in.
You might be able to say that.
Maybe.
I don't know how debatable it is. I think once we read the question, everybody's going to kind of go, no, why would you do that?
Yeah. All right. So the question came from a listener.
Yes.
And we started talking a little bit about it, and we just kind of were like, there's other options here. And so we're like, why don't we do this on an episode and talk about all these options and figure out what are their benefits and negatives. I don't think we've done an episode like this in a long time covering kind of this topic. So I think we'll be able to kind of do it some justice.
Yeah, I think so
now that we've grown up a couple of years.
Getting old over here.
I know, I'm getting old. All right. So what is our question?
So yeah, this question came in from Tyler Ferryman.
That's a good name.
Yeah. Ferryman.
Yep. Tyler, that first part of it. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Said, hey man, just getting caught up on Instagram and I thought I might propose a question to you about front suspension.
Okay.
I own a 3rd gen Tacoma and frequently think about how cool would it be to add leaf springs SAS my 3rd gen. Since you own both a 3rd gen and Bobcat, seems like you are the perfect person to ask this question to. I also think it might be a fun discussion on the show. What do you think the pros and cons would be to put older Toyota technology under a newer truck? Thanks again for the awesome podcast and, of course, the jokes. I added that last part.
I was going to say, I don't think that was on there.
Actually, I'm lying. It really is on there.
Really?
Yeah. See?
I think you photoshopped that.
Yeah.
That's oh, man. So
I do know me a good Photoshop skills.
Yes, you do. As we know from Lorenzo's trip in the petting zoo train.
Yes. That was fun.
Yeah. So interesting question.
Yeah, I thought so too. I guess the real sort of start of this question is, what do you think about throwing a SAS under a 3rd gen with leaf springs?
I think it's dumb.
I do too.
I don't think it should be done.
No.
And really, so the first, when I was originally thinking about sassing 3rd gen Tacomas a long time ago, I was like, hey, if somebody was like low on time or maybe low on resources to do a solid axle and a 3rd gen is what they have, even though they're too low on resources to do a solid axle swap. Ian from Wheeling Every Weekend, when last time he was over here at the studio, we were talking a little bit about solid axling different vehicles. And honestly, his argument is the one that resounded the most with me, not to solid axle a 3rd gen Tacoma. Because the whole reason why you buy a 3rd gen Tacoma is for the comfortability of it. Right. They're the new ones, the 21s and 22s, are relatively comfy vehicles. The older ones are missing a few creature comforts, but they're still comfy to ride in, right?
Okay.
And that's kind of what their appeal is. Toyota designs them.
Is it a suspension comfort at that point that you're talking about, like the creature comforts?
I think so. I think all in with it. I think Toyota did a good job with the stock suspension and the ride comfort of the vehicle to be a pretty decent, comfortable vehicle that is still fairly capable off-road if you get the e-locker in the rear and crawl control, right? So still very capable truck. Just replace those Nerf bars from the factory. Don't use those.
Yeah.
But it's still a pretty damn capable truck. You're not going to go do Fordyce or maybe Rubicon on a stock Tacoma.
No.
But there's a hell of a lot of trails. You can still do 80% of trails out there.
Oh, yeah.
I think just fine in a stock Tacoma if you have the TRD Pro package or the off-road package. But it's the comfortability of it. Like if you want something that is going to act and behave like a solid axled rig, then go with a solid axled rig, in my opinion.
Sure. And, well, what would that be then?
A Gladiator. If you want a truck that's solid axled, Gladiator is the only real thing on the market right now that's off-roadable. I mean, you can get up into F250s or 350s or something, but those are just kind of obscene for off-roading purposes.
Right. Or a JL, right? I mean, you could get a JL that doesn't have the truck bed. Yeah. But it's still a solid axled off-road, a 4-door solid axle vehicle.
Yeah, and so that would be my argument, right? My answer to him would be, don't do it. Keep a Tacoma IFS. If you want a solid axled truck, look at a Gladiator, or look at getting a mini truck and putting a solid axle on that.
I think the thing is that he already has the 3rd gen.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree.
And I'm getting the point that he wants to SAS it. So SAS it with leaf springs. If they're going to SAS a 3rd gen, if you're going to SAS any vehicle, leaf springs?
No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. Not a 3rd gen.
Okay.
Not a 3rd gen Tacoma.
Would you? How about if you SAS any vehicle? Should you add leaf springs?
I think it's worth it as long as you're not having to figure out an axle combination to deal with ABS sensors and tone rings. Then you can do, and leaf springs make sense in that sense, in my opinion.
That's the make or break.
That's kind of the make or break point right there. Mainly because ABS sensors, tone rings, the whole ABS system in vehicles, newer age vehicles, it's a lot more costly and expensive to set up a solid axle on those vehicles and get all those systems to work properly than it is to do an older vehicle that doesn't have all the ABS sensors and tone rings and the brake system on it.
Okay.
If you're already going to be spending that much money on it, in my opinion, the only reason why to go to leaf springs is due to budgetary reasons.
Yes.
But
that's the only reason I think anybody does leaf springs.
Yeah.
It's because it's cheap and easy.
It's cheap and easy. But if you're having to spend all the money to make your ABS system and tone rings and everything work together, then there's no point in going leaf springs because you're already way over budget from what you would spend on a leaf spring setup. So that would be kind of the cutoff point to me.
Got it.
For me. So if you're already going through the effort of...
So if you're going to solid axle swap a vehicle and you have to do the ABS setup and tone rings, so your point is might as well link it at that point because you're already spending money.
Yep.
So might as well spend more.
Yep. Well, it's not, I mean, it is more, but it's not that much more. I mean, links, brackets, and joints are, I mean, you can spend just as much on leaf springs.
Coilovers.
I mean, you still got to get shocks for leaf springs.
Yeah, but you don't need coilovers.
You can do coils and shocks with a linked setup.
Right, but when you do a leaf spring setup, you do leafs and shocks.
Yes.
When you do a leaf or a linked setup, you're doing links and some sort of supportive shock. Coilovers, coil and shocks, air shocks, or like ORIs or something like that. But coilovers,
they're expensive.
Expensive.
You can find used ones that are relatively cheap.
Yeah. I mean, you can. I'm just saying to go buy some, 5100 Bilsteins, or Fox 2.0s that are like $300 a piece, and leaf springs is way cheaper. Is drastically cheaper, dramatically cheaper. I always mix those two.
Drastically, same thing. Yeah,
cheaper than buying. Like I would say, what you're in right there will buy the link setup
for 5100s and leaf springs. How much do you think leaf springs are?
Well, are they $500 a piece?
I would say
pro comp ones.
The pro comps are the rear pro comp 63s are about $200 a piece.
Oh, $200 a piece.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're $500 for a pair.
For the rears.
For the rears.
Fronts.
I don't remember what my fronts cost. It was so long ago.
I want to say the trail gear, I could be way off on this because I haven't looked it up. The trail gear front leaf springs are $300 to $400 a piece.
Okay.
And then a set of 5100 Bilsteins are
$300
each. So you're looking at $1,500. on the high end after tax and shipping, blah, blah, blah.
That's the price of a coilover new.
Yeah, but you don't need to get coilovers new.
I agree. You don't. But I'm just saying that, I don't know why we started this debate argument between them, but
you can do coils and shocks though. If you're concerned about price and doing a linked setup on a budget, then I think it can be done fairly inexpensive compared to doing like a coilover setup.
So you do links, a coil spring, and then shocks.
Yep. I think the big thing that is puts people off from links is trying to figure out the geometry. But there's been so much of that work done and out there on the internet now that I think that figuring out the geometry shouldn't be that big of a problem anymore. So really it just comes down to, in my opinion, cost of goods. Yeah, leaf springs are going to be cheaper, but I don't think it's like drastically cheaper. I don't think it's like $5,000 cheaper.
No,
than a
I think it's half price.
You think it's a factor of a half?
Yeah, probably. I mean, if you're buying everything new, because that's what we were talking about. New leaf springs, $400.
Okay.
A piece. And then new shocks, and then you have to get probably some sort of kit, which is going to be like $1,000. Maybe it's $1,000, $1,500 for the whole entire kit.
Okay.
Right. I mean, if you're going to buy brand new links, brand new ends, brand new brackets, brand new coilovers, that definitely half.
Well, yeah, if you're doing coilovers.
If you do new coils and new shocks, I still think it'd be half.
I don't know. Maybe. I'd have to look into it.
Yeah. We're guessing on prices, but my guess is half at least.
Okay. All right. I'm interested to look that up and see what the actual delta would be between them. But like, I don't know, if you have a 3rd gen Tacoma, then I would think that you've got if you're looking at doing a solid axle swap on a 3rd gen Tacoma.
Yeah, you're not going to do it cheap.
I don't think you're going to do a cheap setup.
I agree.
Yeah.
Or you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess that kind of falls into the whole point, like you were saying at the start, which is why do you want to SAS it?
Yeah.
If it's not going to be for comfort, because any solid axle is not as comfortable as independent. I mean, I think we can both agree with that one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So why do you want to SAS it? And is it for off-road capabilities? Then you might as well link it, because then you're going to get better off-road capabilities.
Yeah.
Like, would a solid axle swapped leaf sprung 3rd gen Tacoma break the internet? Yeah, maybe. Because you probably are going to get hate.
I was going to say, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are like, why would you do that?
Why did you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you throw a Toyota mini truck axle.
Can you imagine?
Front axle into that.
It's like 4 inches narrower than the rear axle.
Right?
Yeah.
You need to at least throw an 80. FJ 80 up there or something. But so I think that really does. So the answer to the question is I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't do it either. Which then kind of begs the question of, what would you do?
Right.
And why? And like, what are the different options that are like feasible options to do on this vehicle or maybe other vehicles to solid axle? And why would you go with one option versus the other two? Or are there more?
Yeah.
So
I personally, I've been seriously considering solid axle swapping Charlotte. And then I had a really good conversation with Nate from Dirt Lifestyle about his Marlin long travel.
Yeah.
And we didn't really come to a conclusion about which one would be better. But what it came down to is, if I'm going to solid axle swap the truck, then I'm probably going to have to do a rear axle swap.
Why is that?
Primarily for lug patterns.
Is the truck not a 6-on-5.5?
It is, but I probably would do like a Dana 60 in the front.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because it's a big truck. I mean, what we just saw on the internet, Nate weighed his truck and it was just under 6,000 pounds.
Yep.
Right. And so, I think I could throw like an 80 series Land Cruiser axle into there and be all right. But I would probably want it to be, personally, I think I'd want it to be wider than that.
Yep.
And so if I'm doing like a Dana 60 up front or something else, then I would want the rear axle to match.
Okay.
Bolt patterns.
Yeah.
So I can rotate my tires.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to cut off the ends of the axle and put some unit bearings on there?
Maybe. Yeah. So, or do something custom with it. You know, there's a whole bunch of, ways that you could get something done.
Yes.
I think, but the easiest one would come down to is just might as well drop another Dana 60 in the rear too. Mm-hmm. So I think that there's another level to doing a solid axle swap. If you're going to do non-Toyota, now you've got a rear axle that's different. You know, and you're going to have different lug patterns, and you're only going to be able to run front tires on the front and rear tires on the rear, and then maybe swap them side to side. But so if you're going to do a solid axle swap, then for when we were talking, it was like, well, you probably are going to have to do a rear axle swap too.
Yep.
And he absolutely he loves his Marlin Crawler long travel kit.
Yeah.
That thing, he says it wheels great. I forgot who I was talking to. I was talking to somebody else about it, about getting like the Marlin Crawler long travel kit or getting the JD squared.
That's a bender.
That's a bender.
What is the
There's
other one?
another one.
I don't remember the other one. Was it JD like off-road?
Something like that. There's another one that does move the axle forward. It moves things forward, but not as far as the Marlin one. The Marlin's like 2 inches and theirs is an inch. Or doing like a long travel, total chaos, Dirt King or Camberg setup. And the thing is, it's like that. Those are a lot of money.
Yeah. The RCLTs, the Marlins.
All of them are.
Oh, I was going to say compared to everything else or anything. Okay.
Any long travel is a lot of money. And then you got to start doing some fab work to like removing body mounts and stuff. The Marlin, you don't have to remove a body mount. Nate's wheeling 38s and he's still on factory. He didn't even chop it.
Yeah, he didn't do a CMC, a cab mount chop. Yeah.
So, it's an end. The ride quality is still there.
You still keep the ride quality of the IFS.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think after talking to him, I think that's the direction I would go if and when I start modifying Charlotte. It might be more available at that point in time in a few years. Because in my mind, my order of operations for my life is finish Samantha and then work on Clifford and then work on Charlotte.
Gotcha.
And then maybe get another project.
Yeah.
So, or something in the middle of Clifford and Charlotte. I don't know. So I think that there's a few different front configurations though, that we can talk about if you want a solid axle swap a vehicle.
Yeah, I agree. So let's start on, what are the options for front suspensions to do a solid axle on? Obviously there's leaf springs. We've been talking about it.
Yep.
There's IFS. We've been talking about it.
Yeah, if it's IFS.
If it's already IFS.
You're probably not going to take a solid axle vehicle and add IFS.
That could be interesting. Put an RCLT on a Gladiator.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That would break the internet.
That would break the internet. Take a Gladiator Rubicon with the rear. Did you know that the Gladiator Rubicon axles are wider than the JL Rubicon axles?
No, but it makes...
it makes sense when you think about it, but I just assumed the Advantech 44 axles were the same between the JLs and the Gladiators, but they're not. Anyways, sidetracked. I like axles. So obviously our options are leaf spring, IFS, and then links. But within links, you've got different ways to do a link setup in the front of a vehicle, right? So do you think that like an IFS with a torsion bar would be worth any kind of doing on newer vehicles?
No.
Can we just nix that one out of it?
Yeah, I would. Though Josh's 3rd gen pickup, the guy that we wheeled with out in Moab.
Yes.
That thing's really cool.
I really like the way he set that rig up.
Is it on 37s?
No.
35s?
I think 34s or 35s.
35s. He had beefier torsion bars. He got the old man emus or the ARBs or whatever torsion bars. And then he did that weld-on long travel thing.
Yeah.
That thing's pretty cool.
It's cool. Like I was looking at it, and first when looking at it, I was like, I wouldn't trust that. But like after watching him wheel the way he does, I was like, if he says he's never had an issue with it.
Right.
And I'm like,
and he's
wow.
wheeled it.
Yeah.
For years.
Yeah.
You know? So if I still had Lloyd, I would do that.
You think so?
I would do that to Lloyd.
Okay.
For sure. But I don't have Lloyd anymore.
Yeah.
And Bobcat and Samantha have been, and Becky, the black-headed booby goat, whatever thingy behind the shop.
Hold on. Did you say black-headed booby goat?
Yeah.
Okay. I just needed to get a clear mental picture for everybody out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've all had the independent suspension removed off of them.
Yeah.
So the only IFS vehicles I have
are the CRV.
Well, sure, the CRV.
You should do it to the CRV just one random day.
The CRV has coilovers. Very, very tiny ones.
They're little struts, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The CRV, Charlotte, and I think Clifford is considered an IFS, but I think it has the twin I-beam.
Yeah. Does it? I don't remember Clifford's front suspension now, but
I think it has the twin I-beams.
Okay.
So it has like a pivot point in the middle. It's really kind of cool stuff.
Just no shaft going to anything.
No,
so,
it's only two-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Though they do make the twin I-beam that has two differentials, one on each I-beam.
Really?
Yeah.
So you can, split the shaft coming out of the T-case?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yep.
How does that work?
I don't know. It's really bizarre looking.
Yeah.
You look at it and you're like, there's two differentials on the front of your vehicle. Like, what the hell is going on?
Interesting.
But most of the twin I-beam setups, because you can get crazy travel out of those.
Yeah.
But they're all pre-runner status.
Yeah.
So maybe I should pre-runner Clifford. And race Ultra 4 Jones.
Dude, that'd be cool. I'd be down to watch. I'd pay some money on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did let go on the Total Garage podcast that he spent like a lot of money. Like it was like $8,000 or more on just engine upgrades on his truck.
On Chase truck?
On Chase truck.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That guy has an engine problem.
He does. But he's probably him and the truck.
I know, right? I was gonna say he's probably spent $4,000 just on his chainsaw engine. So
right.
Just
that thing's got a turbo.
I know. The turbo's bigger than the engine. That'd be funny.
That would be awesome. Anyways, okay, we diverge or divulge. So there's let's eliminate torsion bars.
Okay.
We're just talking about sort of, newer style coilover independent suspensions.
Okay.
Leaf springs, they're kind of, there's only one way for the most part to connect a leaf, and that's the shackles in the rear.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that shackle
Don't
forward
do shackle
stuff
up front, please.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's weird.
Samurais.
And, like, I get it that it kind of helps you climb stuff because as the suspension compresses, it pushes your axle forward. But, like, I don't know, I just feel like that's going to fuck so many steering things up. Like, I don't know. But then again, you could put your tie rod behind the axle like FJ80s kind of do, and that helps fix the steering issues. But, like, I just feel like you're putting so much more stress on your front axle when you're pushing it forward while trying to climb.
Yeah. I don't know. It just doesn't sound right.
No.
Plus, your approach angle is worse.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, shackles in the back.
Shackles back. 3 links.
3 links on the leaf spring. Oh, on the suspension. Gotcha. Okay.
3-link suspension. And 4-link suspension.
Yeah. And
those are the ones I think we'll talk about.
Yeah. And a 4-link, I think we've got essentially 2 different options.
Triangulated and trailing arms? Or
radius arms.
Radius arms?
Yeah.
Forward control.
Forward trailing arms?
Forward arms?
Yeah.
What are they? There's a name. Isn't there a name for that?
I think it's called
leading arms.
Leading arms.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily want to get too much into leading arms. I mean, I guess we could. It's just
trailing arms in the front.
Yeah, essentially. So anyways, with leaf springs, IFS with a coilover in there, and then 3-link and 4-link with double triangulated and radius arms or leading arms. What are the benefits of these? What situations would you use each of them? Like, what do you think is the biggest priority for people when setting up a front suspension? Is it cost? Is it performance? Is it comfortability? Ride characteristics?
Yes.
Yeah, all of the above. I
think it's all the above. I mean, it depends on the person.
You think it's all the same priority? Oh, okay.
Right? And depends on the vehicle. You know, like Charlotte, I wouldn't do leaf springs and a solid axle swap on because it already has independent suspension, but I'm probably not going to use that vehicle as a rock crawler.
Yeah.
It's going to be more of a, hard trail overland vehicle. So I want comfort.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to solid axle swap it.
Okay.
Where if somebody had maybe an older Ranger with that had some, basics, independent suspension on it. Yeah, maybe you want to solid axle swap that because you want it to be more of a rock crawler.
Yeah.
So you could, if it's an older one, I mean, leaf springs are an option, but I think you and I kind of agree that leaf springs are only a budgetary solution.
I think so. I think it's a budgetary issue, a budgetary thing.
And I agree. And if D Mill is listening right now, he's probably screaming. So if you have
he's already shut off the episode.
Probably. If you have out. To save money, leaf springs are a good option.
Yeah, I would agree.
If you can wait and save a little bit more money and do a linked setup, I would do it.
I would agree.
Now, 4 links in the front are hard.
It's hard to package.
Yes.
Very difficult to package 4 links in the front.
Because you've got an engine and an oil pan up there. You've got all the pulleys in the front of the engine. You have a drive shaft coming down one side, and you have the exhaust going out the other side, typically. And so there's a lot of things that are happening between where you're probably connecting the links and the axle. So a lot of people do 3 links in the front just because there's one bar that you don't have to worry about and where you do a 4 link.
Yeah.
But 3 links are somewhat unpredictable when they're articulating out.
Yep.
They can move in if you're not used to it, they move in different directions. Where a 4 link is fairly reliable or
consistent,
predictable.
Predictable. Yeah, I was gonna say consistent performance, which is predictability.
Yeah, predictable on how they're gonna move, when they're gonna move, where they're gonna move. If the axle moves forward or back, how does it rotate? Is the pinion moving correctly? And you can set a lot of that up. So if you can package a 4 link suspension up in the front, then that's the way I would go. Every time. Yeah. If it's just a lot going on and it's not going to work, then 3 links the answer. If you are budgetary, then leaf springs. And if you care about ride quality and comfort and drivability and you're doing way more street driving, then I would stick with independent.
Okay.
That's my feelings.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of that. The big thing that I want to say, the only thing I want to kind of add on to that is, what about like a radius arm setup for a 4 link?
Yeah.
And it's technically, I was going to say, is a radius arm considered a 4 link? I mean, technically you have 4 links on the axle, but I mean, if you're doing a radius arm and a panhard, how does that differ from a double triangulated 4 link? In terms of performance.
Yeah. I don't have any real world knowledge on them. But what I've been told is that radius arms do not articulate as well as a triangulated 4 link.
100%. They bind up because you have to use bushings on the axle side of the links rather than like flexible joints or whatnot.
Right.
Or Heims or anything. Because there's so much stress put on the axle that really bushings is, I don't want to say the only thing that can really handle it, but it handles the stress on that axle a lot more than joints would. And so the problem though is, with a radius arm setup, you've got your lower control arms are essentially the main arm that goes from the bottom of the axle up to your frame. And then somewhere halfway down that arm, another set of arms come off of that and goes to the upper side of the axle. So those links there, that's the radius arm, right? And that is to help control the axle from, I don't want to say twisting, rotating would be the right word.
It helps prevent the axle from having the pinion rise or fall.
Correct. Yeah. And so when you have that set up that way, there's just a lot of stress on those links at the axle side. So you really need to use bushings. But the problem is as the axle articulates, those radius arms can't spin in a vertical rotation, I guess. I don't know how to describe that.
Yeah, they twist. The axle's twisting, right? The axle, one side, passenger side's going up, driver side's going down. And now you're getting this twisting motion that's happening on the radius arms because it's goes from straight to turning. And it doesn't do that very well.
It doesn't do that very well with radius arms. And so I know that there's radius arms are used a lot, though, by OEMs, car manufacturers.
Yeah.
And the reason is because of that binding. They use that binding to help control axle movement, lateral axle movement, rather than relying on a panhard bar to control it all.
I thought it was just because they don't care about crazy articulation.
I mean, that too, but I mean, that binding is what helps eliminate the crazy articulation, right?
Yes.
So you get a better on-road handling because you're not getting as much movement out of the axle, I guess. And double triangulateds are really hard to set up while keeping your center of gravity low on framed chassis. So car manufacturers like to use radius arm setups to help control the articulation. So it's like, do you really want to use radius arm setup if articulation is what you're going for?
Yeah. I bet we've seen a lot of rigs out there that have good articulation, not great, good articulation with a radius arm setup. I wonder if you could do a radius arm leading arm because they're usually parallel to the frame.
Yeah, true. You would just need a beefed up
lower bar.
A beefed up lower bar, but also a beefed up panhard to help because you're not getting any benefit from the triangulation, right? At least with like radius arms, if you can get the radius arm triangulated in towards the diff from the lower control arms, that helps triangulate a little bit of control of the axle. Not a ton, but at least more than just doing straight arms. So
on which ones? On the radius arms?
On a radius arm, yeah.
I don't think you can bring them in.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Can you?
Yeah, you can angle the top arms of a radius arm setup in towards the differential, the pumpkin. They don't have to be straight up and down to like the way the OEMs do it on like F250 Super Duty axles. Yeah.
Okay, I've never seen that, I guess.
There's a lot of Jeep kits out there that have the radius arm set up that way. So, but anyways, so yeah, do you want to run radius arms if you're looking for articulation? They still get quite a bit of travel. Maybe you're not getting as much as a double triangulated or as much as a 3-link setup. Yeah.
I think that falls into packaging. What are good options for you for packaging? If you want, if you can fit a 4-link double triangulated up in the front, I mean, I think that's the answer. If you can't, and you have to figure out like maybe leading arm style 4-link, maybe that's better than radius arms, right? I think the question it comes down to, well, I think radius arms are probably better than a 3-link.
I think they'd be stronger. I think they help spread the load of the axle, the pinion rotation.
Yes.
Right. And so like,
I think you would get better articulation out of a 3-link, but radius arms are more predictable.
I agree. I think they are.
So there's an interesting argument there about predictability and strength versus articulation.
Yeah.
It's just straight up articulation.
Yeah.
Where a 3-link, I mean, if you set it up properly, they're fairly predictable, and there is an axle movement that happens. And you do get good articulation. But how about road quality then? Is it better to have radius arms on driving on a road versus a 3-link?
I think it's more predictable road quality.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I would almost say, and maybe this changes my Samantha build.
Uh-oh.
I haven't gotten that far yet, but maybe do radius arms over a 3-link.
So this is what I've been going back and forth with. I've kind of settled on doing a 3-link in the front just because I know eventually down the road, Kermit's going to turn into a trailer queen. Once I get a bigger...
Did you just say that?
Once I have a Bronco...
I thought trailers were for boats.
They are for boats, which means I'm going to have to make Kermit a hybrid vehicle where it can go in the lake as well.
There you go.
So...
It's an amphibious.
Amphibious, thank you. That's what I was looking for. No, I know that eventually, once I get more space and the availability for, keeping a trailer somewhere or whatnot, I know Kermit's going to end up turning into a caged, cut up buggy style vehicle down the road. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen eventually. Either that or I'm going to end up selling Kermit and buying a buggy later on down the road sometime. Like that one buggy we keep seeing out on the Rubicon that has air conditioning. Like if I want to get that buggy.
I don't.
Anyways,
moving on.
Husband knows what I'm talking about. So anyways, and so I've been going back and forth. I'm like, when I'm going to do my new axles and suspension, a 3-link is kind of where I was settled on. But then I keep going back to a radius arm setup. And I'm like, I'm still driving Kermit around to the trails, to and from the trails. I want Kermit to behave predictably on the road. But do I really care about the quote unquote lack of articulation out of a radius arm setup? And I don't know if I do. I think a radius arm setup is easier to package than a 3-link.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And radius arm setups, they still get quite a bit of articulation. It's like, do I really care if I get like 3 to 4 more inches of articulation out of a 3-link versus a radius arm? I don't know. I don't know if I do. I don't know if I would care about having 3 or 4 more inches of articulation of travel versus having predictability for on-road driving while I'm driving around on road. So, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting question. What do you have a sheepish grin on your face?
See if they answer.
They? You calling multiple people? It answers?
Sorry I missed your call. Leave a message.
Nope, they didn't answer.
I don't even know who that was.
Answer. Hustle Nuts.
Oh,
I wanted his opinion on radius arms.
Uh-huh.
We can.
Well, that's what
I've
talked with him about radius. I've gone back and forth with him about radius arms versus 3-links, and Ori.
Yeah.
About radius arms and 3-links, and
I would guess Ori's good. Like, yeah, do it. The WFO makes a good kit, and Hussman's like, nah, don't do it. If you're gonna just do that, might as well do a 4-link.
No, he actually is for the 3-link due to the packaging issue of a 4-link.
Okay.
So
Hussman chooses linking over radius arms.
A 3-link over radius arm link.
And I would assume Ori says it works fine. Go ahead and do it. You just don't get as much articulation.
So Ori asked me which axle I was going to use. And when I told him I was, the plan with building the new axles, he said, do a 3-link.
Really?
Mm-hmm. He said the Super Duty axles, WFO has an awesome kit that just bolts right into the Super Duty axles. You don't have to cut any of the axle side brackets off. But he said if you're starting with a custom axle and you're going to have to put on your own brackets, he said do a 3-link.
Okay.
Yeah. And then somebody else, Danny Jones. Danny Jones also said I should do a 3-link. So like all these people who have a pretty good knowledge of suspensions are all saying 3-link, but my gut is still telling me to go with a radius arm.
Yeah. Why is that?
I think it's just because of the predictability and the simple packaging. And now D Mill's yelling at his podcast, his stereo, saying, it's not about simplification. Do what's right.
Probably.
And I think Hussman would say the same thing. So yeah, I mean, there's.
But why would 3-link be right? Because you can get more articulation.
I think that's what I hear from everybody. That's the main point I hear from everyone is the articulation benefits of it over
and with
radius arm.
Kermit, you're really limited on your suspension options in the rear also.
Yes. Yeah. I'm a lot limited than any truck would ever be. Yeah.
So in a way, like let's just take Hussman's buggy right now.
Okay.
he almost has no rear suspension.
Right? Like no down.
His shocks aren't moving. His shock on one side isn't working.
Oh, okay.
Right. So he has like an inch to an inch and a half of shock movement.
Okay.
Right. So he has almost no, like one side maybe moves, but the other side isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So his rear suspension isn't working right now, but his front suspension is working fine.
Yeah.
And great. And it wheels fine.
Yeah.
It wheels fantastic. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what I'm bringing that up as I would, in your case, you probably want to strive for the better articulation in the front because you're not sure how much articulation you're going to be able to get in the rear.
That is true. There's definitely that.
Step one for you is 3-link radius arm in the front, reliefs in the rear until you do the rear, which might be another season.
Yeah.
Then you're going to link the rear somehow, some way. But are you going to get as much or better articulation than what you get in the front?
Yeah, I don't think I would.
Maybe I don't think you will.
Yeah.
So I think you need to. The goal for you is to get the better articulation in the front because you know you're going to be limited in articulation in the rear.
Okay, that makes sense. I was thinking,
why limit both?
Yeah, true. The only issue
radius arm the rear.
Radius arm. So my like there's a bunch of things I want to do on the rear. And I don't know how this turned into a conversation about
your rear.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think
if you have any suggestions for Tyler, just slide into his BMs.
Jeez. Please don't. So like ultimately, I think the most fun option would be a cantilevered trailing arm setup.
Right.
But I think that's way stupid overkill. I don't think I would ever get the full use out of a trailing arm setup.
No, but you destroy the internet.
I know I would destroy the internet, right? And so
just like your welded leaf springs,
it's a thing of beauty. So I'm like, okay, that would be like just for fun, right? The next option would be doing a cantilevered 4-link and seeing if I can do a double triangulation. That would mean I'd have to package. I don't know if I could. I'd have to limit the up travel because the upper links on the double triangulation would end up hitting the gas tank that I've got to put in there. Would be the F-150 tank between the frame rails. So the other option is a 3-link because the other two options are, in my opinion, I think that they're doable, but it's going to be more work than I really want to go through. I want to go through the work on my axles. I don't really want to go through a ton of work on the suspension. So the rear option, I think I'm coming down to and settling on is a 3-link. But when you do a 3-link front and rear, they pull at each other during full articulations. And they do weird things to the frame.
Okay.
So that's kind of my main concern between doing a 3-link in the front.
Well, then that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you're set on doing a 3-link in the rear, then radius arms in the front might be the answer.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a 3-link in the front, maybe do radius arms in the rear.
I've never seen a radius arm rear setup. That would be interesting.
I don't know why you couldn't.
Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't either. I'll have to think about that. I never really thought about doing a radius arm setup in the rear.
You're welcome.
I'll have to talk to some people and be like, why don't I ever see those?
Yeah. Now it's time for you to talk to Hussman, talk to Ori, talk to Danny Jones from Wet Willie Fab. Call Carlos.
Yeah. I wonder if
phone a friend.
Mike would know, our new buddy from Sack Driveline.
Maybe.
Yeah, with all of his experience with axles and suspensions. I don't know. Anyways, back to the topic at hand, which is what suspension, why would you use different types of suspensions in the front end of vehicles? And I think we've kind of come down to the conclusion that leaf springs are just a cheap option. If you're on a budget, that's what you got to do.
It's cheap and it works.
It's cheap and it works. You can get plenty of travel out of leaf springs. It's hard to tune out unloading with leaf springs. It's hard to tune out unloading with coils and shocks though as well. Really the best tunability is ORIs or coilovers.
Yes.
So, if you're on just a pure cost is the number one thing that you're worried about, go find some used leaf spring parts and slap them in.
Right. Yeah. If you can wait a little longer and you can save a little bit of money, then we highly suggest doing link setups.
Yeah, I agree. You're going to get a better ride quality out of linked setups.
You know, something we didn't talk about is steering.
Yeah.
And doing a 4-link setup on a vehicle that has a power steering box is near impossible, I think, to set up a steering set way, right?
Is it? Why? I'm trying to think what would be the limiting factor why you wouldn't.
I don't know. For me, I always just see whenever somebody 4-links something, they just do hydro.
Yeah.
You know, because is the tie or the tie rod? No, the drag link which one's the panhard?
The panhard just goes from the frame down to the axle.
Okay. So the drag link.
Drag link goes from the pitman arm to your steer knuckle.
To your steering knuckle. That would, when your axle goes down, it's going to have to pull, right? Where if you're double triangulated 4-link, your axle wants to stay in the same spot.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
So if you have the drag link, then it wants to swing.
Yeah, the axle wants to swing. Yeah, that makes sense.
Or your steering is going to get pulled in.
Yeah. Every time your axle drops, your steering is going to go all over the place.
So it's hard to do, and there might be a way. I don't know. I haven't dug into it, but it's hard to near impossible to just set up a 4-link with a pitman arm style vehicle. Yeah. I don't know if you can do it with the style that are in the new Land Cruisers, Tundras, and Tacomas.
Like an IFS rack, a steering rack?
A steering rack. I don't know if you
put a rack on the tie rod and then have a steer.
No, I'm just saying shaft. I don't know much about 4-linking vehicles that have a steering rack.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work either.
So doing a 3-link, if you're going to use mechanical steering, I think you're stuck with a 3-link.
That's true. I wonder, no, because you can do radius arms and a mechanical crossover steering.
Okay.
So
there's got to be a way to 4-link.
I think that's because the axle swings during it. You don't have the axle triangulated really, but during a 3-link, you've got at least some triangulation there with your upper link.
A little bit.
But it's really swings on the panhard bar that controls the lateral movement of the axle. Yeah. Interesting.
So that there's got to be a way to radius arms with a mechanical steering.
Yeah.
Because we know people that are running that.
Yeah, well, nothing's really triangulated in a radius arm setup. A radius arm is fully controlling on the control arms and the radius arms to control vertical movement of the axle as well as pinion rotation of the axle. And the panhard controls the lateral movement of the axle.
Okay, so that, because it has the panhard, it's primarily set up similar to a 3-link.
Yeah.
So it also shifts.
It'll swing.
It'll swing.
Yeah.
Where 4-links don't.
Yeah.
So there's more information, or there's more to learn there than I know at the moment.
Yeah.
But that you would need to take that into consideration. So if you and to solid axle swap a 3rd gen Tacoma, which is where we all started with this. I don't know I haven't looked into how you do the steering setup on it.
Yeah, you'd probably have to replace it and get a regular steering box. You'd have to get rid of the whole rack and pinion setup for sure.
That's the way I would do it at this point in time. I don't know if there's a rack and adapter that makes it, that lets you, that will articulate that far, or something. So my guess is you do have to eliminate the steering rack and go to a power steering box.
That would be my guess. Or an electrical steering box.
And well, maybe
but you still have to have a steering box. So
right.
Yeah.
Can you do an electrical steering box on the axle?
That would be interesting. Or set up a rack and pinion on the backside of the axle. Get a high pinion and set it up kind of under the pinion.
Or
have a tie rod that goes under
and put it above it. Personally,
I'd limit your up travel so you don't hit the oil pan.
I'd protect my steering.
Yeah.
I'd rather be able to steer than use my front axle as power.
That makes sense. Because FJ80s, I think their drag link goes under the pinion, doesn't it? Or does it go above the pinion?
I don't know.
Either way, that's a metal rod, not a steering box.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, interesting topic. If you have a 3rd gen Tacoma, there's a lot of work to get those things to work correctly with a solid axle. So if you're going to put that much money
very hard
into making that work with a solid axle, you got to go links, in my opinion. So then from there, it's just a matter of, are you really concerned about max articulation? You'd be taking a 3rd gen Tacoma through Sledgehammer. Like, is that your goal? There's definitely people that do it, Ori and George.
Yeah.
But
those are both 2nd gens.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
I thought George had a 3rd gen.
No, I'm pretty sure his is a 2nd gen also.
Interesting. I thought it was a 3rd.
Nope.
Okay.
2nd gens are easier to solid axle swap because they have less electronics in the front.
Okay.
And then if you get my truck, it's just as easy because I'm manual and I don't have all the A-track and all that other crap up in the front.
Gotcha.
All I have is ABS.
Gotcha.
So the only thing I would need to figure out is ABS. If I solid axle swapped mine to remove the Christmas tree factor from happening on my dash.
Yeah.
Now, this question did come in from, I think, Idaho, where maybe you don't have the smog rules that we have out here in California.
Yeah.
Where if there are any lights more or less on your dashboard, you fail smog.
Yes.
So
True.
That is a factor for us out here that we have to concern ourselves with.
Yep, 100%. So interesting. I think fun topic. I think that I still want to get down and do suspension episode where we bring in a professional suspension builder and talk about, all the different types of suspensions out there and what are things that people have tried and didn't work. I'm still really interested in those and see, what else is out there. So
yeah, there might be random stuff out there that we've never even seen or heard of that somebody has done.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there is.
Maybe.
So,
I mean, we're pretty smart guys.
Speak for yourself.
Okay, I'm a very smart guy.
Good job. Oh man,
I'm so smart. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Perfect. That's the best kind of smart to be, like John Daly. Anyway, so not say anything. No comments about that one.
Is that the night show host guy?
No, John Daly's the golfer.
Oh, I don't know.
The crazy golfer that
is that the one that's always popping up on TikTok and stuff now that wears all the weird clothes?
Yes.
The one that
he's the golfer going into complete senility and not giving a shit about what he says or does on golf courses anymore.
Good for him. Yes, right? I know that guy.
Yeah. Anyways, fun episode. I'm curious to hear what other people would say for a 3rd gen Tacoma. What options would you go with for a 3rd gen Tacoma for a front suspension? So, and why? Call us and let us know. 916-345-4744. 916-345-4744. Give us a call. Let us know. I'm kind of curious. If you're just driving along to work in the morning time and you're finishing up this episode, give us a call and rant for the next 5 minutes until you get to work. So
stupid Tacomas. And so Tyler,
right? Yes,
I would like to know what your thoughts are on this episode.
What my thoughts are?
Yeah, the Tyler that wrote in.
Oh, I was like, oh man. Yeah, Tyler, let us know if we covered it. If you had more questions that came up, if we can't answer them, we'll ask one of our good buddies who understand suspension really well and see what they say, see what their opinions and ideas are. And I think that about does it. If anybody wanted to chime in, get in contact with us, send us more questions that we can answer, you can do that at Jimmy or Tyler at SnailTrail4x4.com is the emails. We've got the land of Instagrams at SnailTrail4x4 and 4x4 Toyota Tyler. There's the voicemail, 916-345-4744, which we love hearing from you guys. And, bad signals. If you put a big Toyota emblem up in the sky, Jimmy shows up randomly. It's a pretty cool trick.
Almost immediately.
It's really impressive. So you can try that out. If you get out on ham radios, I appear next to you like a genie. It's pretty cool. So you just have to rub your ham radio 3 times.
And then you spout out of the antenna?
I do. It's great. Oh, man.
If you have any radio questions, just rub your radio.
Just rub your radio.
I'm going to do an Instagram reel of me rubbing my Yaesu.
Then I'm going to appear on your reel. Hey, what's going on? Anyways, so any good stuff like that, send them on in. We love hearing from you guys as always. Jimmy Jet, do you have any final words for everybody out there?
3/4 elliptical.
On the front. With that, my friends, keep crawling.
What do you call a dad joke about stairs?
I don't know.
A stepdad joke.
Oh. Got it.
That's a good one for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now,
Very
where are
apt.
these cookies?
They are across from the laser next to the brownies.